Great. Thank you, Emily. So, welcome everyone. We're so glad you're joining us here today. And before we get started, my name is Genevieve Carbone, and I will be your co-host for today's conversation. I lead product marketing for our L&D and enablement products at Smartcat. And I'm joined today by Nicole DiNicola, our Global VP of Marketing at Smartcat. So Nicole has deep expertise leading teams through product launches, content and enablement rollouts, and global training. So she's seen her fair share of bottlenecks in these processes, and she really can attest to how AI agents really can help lean teams do more with less. And for today's conversation, we're going to be digging into something that almost every global organization is feeling right now, and is what we like to call the learning bottleneck. And it's really that critical moment where business needs moves faster than your training content can keep up. So I know a lot of that's going to resonate with you today. So we're going to talk about how global training often fails to deliver at scale, and more importantly, how AI agents are really changing the game for teams like yours.
Yeah, thanks, Genevieve. So happy to have so many of you here. The folks that I know or had the chance to work with in L&D or enablement or in operations. Some of my favorite people I've ever worked with. I know some of you are on the call today, so excited to have you here as we talk more about, you're just being asked to do so much more for more learners, more languages, more formats at a speed that, hasn't happened in this way before. Also, without having like more headcount or time or budget. And a lot of those pain points are exactly where our session begins today. Across every industry, we're seeing global organizations experience pretty similar shifts, right? That more change, more complexity, higher expectations just to go faster, whether that's, launching some new products or new technology to your whole organization, or, maybe you're entering new markets for the first time or trying to expand in certain markets. Maybe you're adapting to lots of different products your company is rolling out and need to enable around those. Those business moments are happening just more and more often and at a bigger scale, and they really require, L&D or enablement teams to be faster, to be more scalable. And let's take a little bit deeper look into each of these.
Yeah, so let's take a look first at digital transformation. So let's think about something like when a new HRIS or CRM needs to go live, every employee needs to be trained on that, and they need to be trained on that fast. And if that training lags, adoption lags. And when you're a global team, that delay can multiply when you're trying to do this across markets. So we hear this from customers all the time. One manufacturing company that we recently spoke with, they are trying to roll out Workday. And they told us if we don't train fast and drive adoption, this rollout fails. And that really shows like the high stakes of these processes internally and being able to scale this out to multiple markets. And then there's product evolutions. So as product lines evolve, sales and support really need to stay in lockstep with those updates. But if your enablement content isn't timely or localized, you're really going to risk, mixed messaging and missed revenue opportunities. So to share an example here, one of our global cosmetic customers, Clarins, they were really struggling to keep up with their training materials with their latest product innovations while maintaining that consistency of brand, which is really important to them, and doing this and deploying it across all of their markets. So very happy to share that with Smartcat, they were able to automate that continuous localization of their product materials. So once an update is made, it automatically triggers an update in all of the various localized materials.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also hearing more and more from organizations about needing to react to operational shifts, or maybe your operations are relocating. Like you're entering a new region, maybe you're going through a big acquisition and suddenly you have, hundreds of new employees in a new country. This really creates that cascading effect of training needs. You have new processes, new compliance rules, new teams that need to onboard quickly and become experts on, your offering and your guidelines and all of that immediately. And many of us are coming to us after these big events, needing to quickly localize their learning content. One example is actually there's a leading safety and security provider. And after they acquired a company in South America, they needed to localize training materials to support all those new employees instantly. And they didn't have the time to wait or send it out to a different vendor or for their internal teams to kind of do it on their own. So they were able to do it really fast with Smartcat, in an instant. And then, of course, you're also hearing in the news lots of impacts around tariffs and operations moving locations based off of those tariffs. Even this morning, Apple announced they're investing billions to bring their business into some different countries. And we even have organizations now coming to Smartcat with those same pain points. My budgets have been slashed due to these tariffs, and not just a little bit, but by millions. And they're telling us now, they were able to make up a lot of that cost savings by bringing a lot of their learning and content needs into Smartcat, because we are able to dramatically reduce those costs associated with all the multilingual content that needs to get out the door quickly. And then finally, there's the tried and true global workforce ramp up. That this is a challenge and a need that stays consistent over time, and especially in industries that have high turnover, or they're highly regulatory, like logistics, life sciences, retail. You often have training that's needs to be quick to create, easy to localize, and it's got to be ready immediately, because things are just changing so fast. And with those, regulatory needs, you can't be off. Your translations, it's really critical if you're, a pharmaceutical company, that the information is translated correctly. And those are some really complex situations that SmartCat can do really well. And we have high quality translations there. Actually, one of our customers, a growing restaurant chain, they have a very large Spanish speaking, frontline team, and it turns over often, as it does in restaurants and in retail. And they face, big challenges, translating all that training for Spanish speaking staff, getting it out fast, making sure it sticks. But then also, every time there's an update, going back and finding where that update is. And those are some things you can really automate through SmartCat now. If you have a small change, you don't have to worry. SmartCat's going to find that update and fix it everywhere across your learning and development content. We also have organizations we're going to talk about later, like Brinks and Smith and Nephew. They handle security and cash, and they handle medical equipment, also very high regulatory industries. We'll chat more about them later. We all, everybody on this call knows training is not just a checkbox. You really have to make sure that it leads to the business outcomes that you need, right? Is it helping to retain your staff? Is it keeping employees and customers safe, and really keeping things on brand and delivering that brand promise that your company puts out into the world? And bringing learning and development content creation localization on SmartCat. These organizations we've mentioned, they can create and deliver the multilingual content that's really needed on the fly. We'll give some great examples of that in a little bit as well. But ultimately, what we're trying to help you do here is give you that faster onboarding, the better retention, and a frontline team that feels confident and really aligned with your organization.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And all of these moments can look so different across organizations and regions, but they really all pose like the same challenge, that traditional learning workflows are really struggling to keep up with the demands that enterprises have today. Which really leads us into our next slide here, where we're going to ask a poll from our audience, and we really want to get some of your insights here. We want to understand, how prepared is your organization to deliver training at the speed that your business demands? So, if 0 being you're not prepared at all, 5 you feel very well prepared and confident in that. And thinking about, just given what we've just covered, from digital rollouts, product launches, global hiring, just think about how prepared you're thinking that your organization is to deliver that.
Great, we've got some responses coming in.
And we got a couple of 2s, and we hear that a lot from our customers as well, that, yeah, just not totally prepared for a lot of those shifts that are coming.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah, and a couple of 3s, people who are kind of like in the middle of the road, maybe have some things figured out, but maybe still trying to figure out some of the other processes and workflows that come along with that.
Yeah. And with all the talk around AI, like things are just changing so fast too. Like even as a marketer, I have a hard time keeping up with what's the latest, what's something we could be doing differently, better. Our team does a lot of enablement, right, Genevieve? And so we struggle with this too as marketers.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely feel those pains as well, of like trying to, like, launch across markets, keep things updated, and making sure that you're keeping a streamlined workflow. So definitely feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you everyone for participating in that. This is like a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next. So we really want to, what we hear all the time from our L&D customers.
Sorry, I had a poll in front of me.
No worries.
All right, got it, cleared that. Yeah, thanks everyone. Really appreciate hearing your feedback there. And no matter where your team landed, we're here to help. The pace of change really isn't slowing down anytime soon. And while those trends we just covered, they're kind of bigger strategic things that may be impacting your entire organization. We know that they trickle down and they create real challenges and pressure for learning and development teams, enablement teams, operations teams. And these are some of the direct quotes we get from L&D leaders that we talk to all the time. And if any of these sound familiar to you, you're definitely not alone, right? So yeah, I was just got off a call the other day with one of our L&D teams that we've been working with for a very long time, and they were also commenting on the pace of change, and they said, our global teams don't get the training in their own language fast enough. We even with how fast technology is moving, they're being asked to go even faster, or they feel like they're constantly behind. It's outdated before it's translated. Regions feel like they're ignored because they don't get enablement at the same time as other regions. We feel that in marketing too. Like it often feels like, everything goes out in one language and then maybe a quarter later, a few months later, the rest of the world might get it. And that's just really hard. That makes, employees, feel like they're not valued or they're not appreciated or they're kind of an afterthought. And I know the L&D leaders are enablement leaders that are on the call right now, that's not the experience they want for their employees.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really this constant tension between what the business needs and what the current processes that you have in place can actually deliver. Especially when you're relying on the fragmented tools and really juggling vendors, that becomes a lot. And all of this is happening while budgets stay flat and teams stay lean. So it's really no surprise that scaling training feels much, much harder than it should right now. So next, what we're actually going to do is we're going to unpack why those traditional workflows just aren't cutting it for L&D today. And then we're going to uncover what's needed to move faster and without sacrificing quality and control, which is so important in L&D and enablement materials. So we're going to take a look at what's really holding teams back and what happens when you don't fix it. So it's not that L&D leaders don't know what to do, not by any means. Many of you are very seasoned in this. It's the process itself that's the problem. We have siloed systems and handoffs. Everything's siloed. One team creates the content, another manages vendors, and then translation happens in a completely separate system. So that means you have slow handoffs, there's missed context in that, and there's zero transparency. And then the process of translate after it's built. And they're just stuck in that workflow and that model. And that really creates a huge lag in time in the process. So you're finalizing the content in one language and then starting the localization. But by the time it's ready, the business has already moved on to the next big thing. And then your learners in market are often left playing catch up.
Exactly. Yeah. And then of course, there's always team capacity. No team has the budget or the head count that's needed, even though when we're constantly asked to do more updating, more languages, more learners. We're rolling this out. This is coming. Are you ready? We need enablement on Friday. Like it's something we can just whip up and put out there. And our team sizes aren't growing, and we feel that across a lot of departments. You're expected to figure out ways to scale work. You're being asked how you're using AI. How are you going to be doing more? And that leads to burnout and very inconsistent results across markets, unfortunately. And then finally, we hear, from a lot of people we work with, what's holding them back is outdated content. It's not that they always need more content. It's that it's really hard to keep up. It's often we have updates. We need to change something. Just this one piece of this training needs to be changed, or this one piece needs to be retranslated, or whatever it might mean. And you're racing to find those updates and then do it in every language. And did I miss a part? Did it do it right? It's very manual. It's really messy, right? And there's also a risk of miscommunication. You want every region to get the same level of enablement, and that can be hard to do.
Yeah, that's so true. And even just thinking about like the downstream effects, what's the impact of all of this, all of these things that are happening? We have missed deadlines, there's poor adoption, compliance gaps, which are huge. And worst of all, learners don't get what they need when they need it. So the bottom line is that traditional workflows can't deliver at the speed, scale, and quality that the business needs. So then we're going to transition now to another poll to get some of your thoughts and your feedback on, what do you see as your biggest bottleneck within your workflow? This is an open-ended question, so just drop whatever comes to your mind. Um, comes to mind, when you're thinking about different, roadblocks that you have.
Yeah. What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, and while everyone's here, I'll just share that we'll talk about this case study in a little bit. But for example, our customer Brinks, they had a really laborious workflow with working with an agency. They had email chains and like manual editing, fragmented translation workflow. So when they came to us, like that was the biggest thing that they needed to optimize. So just thinking about those type of things, or if you're using tools, let us know.
And I'm seeing answers come in, but I can't see them, Emily. Can you see them? Would love to chat about them. Maybe we pop them into the chat.
Yeah, maybe that'll work.
Talking about bottlenecks, we've got one right here with our Zoom poll that we can't read your amazing answers. If you submitted something, feel free to put it in the chat. Would love to know what keeps you up at night, what your biggest bottlenecks are, because we'd love to talk about them as we go through, the rest of the session today. Can you see them, Emily?
Sorry, I'm driving over here and missed my mute button. Yes, I have them here from Mary Gregg, Petra, Tina. Competing priorities with leadership. Which priority is the top priority to focus on first? We have no skills framework, time, people, resources, and budget. Just the need to use two or three different tools to get to a slick product that uses multiple modalities of learning, not
Mm.
enough trainers. That's just, we have a great word cloud here that we can probably share as an asset afterwards, but a lot of similar pain points, it sounds like, across the teams here.
Yeah, and those are all things that we hear all the time with fragmented tools, only being able to, address one project at a time. So you have to, ruthless in your prioritization. So it's things that we hear all the time from our customers. It's a really big headache.
Yes, agreed. We'll share, yeah, again, you're not going to feel alone. We're going to share some more customer stories at the end here of how they've handled similar situations. All right. Yeah, so let's talk about like the impact of learning and development across an organization. We're really at a point of where we need to rethink the way we create training, deliver training, because it's hard, like as we mentioned, all the things that you just mentioned, it's harder to keep up with the limited resources we have. Um, so in today's training, enablement really relies on having internal employee experts, those subject matter experts, to help build and deliver content. And now we're entering an era where it's not just those expert employees that you have at your disposal to help. You also are going to have AI agents to help you reach your goals and get to those outcomes faster. And also to help to expand the way organizations view learning and development, going from, today often L&D teams are kind of pigeonholed into like, oh, you just do onboarding, you just do learning courses, but learning happens all across the organization. And you have the ability to have a huge impact across, even when marketing launches new campaigns, new products get rolled out. We really need to decrease the ramp up time for sales so we can hit our revenue goals. It's really not, it's not helpful to think about it just in silos anymore. And I know that's a struggle, right? To get your leadership teams to see the global organizational wide impact of learning and development. But it's also an opportunity for you to kind of centralize things, to become that center of excellence for how learning, training, and development comes to life, no matter what department it is in. You can lead by example, by showing like how it should be done, how it can scale, how it can reach more people, right? No more silos. L&D can really be that leader across the board, no matter what team is doing learning, because learning happens everywhere.
And that's really where Smartcat comes in. We're helping teams move from disconnected efforts to a unified, scalable strategy for global workforce enablement. And the strategy combines two things, and that's experts, so everyone here that joined us today, and our AI agents, who are really an extension of your reach and help you get that speed without sacrificing the quality that you want. And the result of this is that L&D is able to elevate the employee experience. Sales are going to ramp faster, and learners everywhere are really going to get the training that they need and they crave, and it's going to be on time, in the right format, and in the right language. And this full alignment that we have, that you'll have from this, is leads to real business outcomes. You're going to have higher employee engagement, faster onboarding for your team, and better employee retention. And we know it's a lot to manage. So
Yeah, it really is. But that's why we built Smartcat. We made this platform that can evolve with you. That one platform for learning content with, the AI agents, the digital teammates that continuously learn from your expert employees. They get feedback, they get better each time. So that way you now have a platform for learning content that's going to move at the speed that you really need. And I know in our world, we're flooded with everything AI. AI promises AI can do this, but let's like hear some real stories of how customers are truly using this and seeing a lot of results.
yeah, so first up, we're going to look at Brinks. We talked about them a little bit earlier. They are a global leader in logistics and security. So for them, training is really mission critical. They're onboarding teams across 100 countries, and every piece of content has to be accurate and timely and consistent, and of course compliant, because in the cash and security and everything that goes along with highly regulated industries, compliance is very important. So before Smartcat, they were dealing with email chains, manual editing of files, fragmented translation workflows. But now with AI agents that are embedded within their process, they've slashed the delivery time by 90%. And now they support over 30 languages. And that's without growing any team. So they've ended up like speeding up that delivery of training by 10x. So it really shows that it's the power of combining that expert knowledge with scalable AI. So now that Brinks has this proper infrastructure that they need to move as fast as their business does.
Yeah, and we just got the chance to catch up with Brinks not too long ago, and they were giving us an update on how they're creating learning courses within Smartcat. And they have lots of different L&D teams, but they had someone who had no experience with Smartcat, and another team just gave them a quick overview, like, hey, here's how you use it. This is what it looks like, because he had a very tight deadline to get some new courses. So, after just, I think it was about an hour just in Smartcat kind of learning it, he created 12 new courses in 4 different languages. So simple and easy, and it was consistent and on brand, and he felt really confident in what he was creating, even though it was a brand new tool.
I love that. Love to hear that.
Yeah. And next, let's talk about Smith & Nephew. They're a global medical device company, so another highly rated or highly regulated industry. I'm sure they're also highly rated. But for them, the training isn't just about speed. They also have high compliance needs. It has to be consistent and accurate across languages. You can't have different markets getting slightly different training, or, if the language or translation is a little off, they can feel that, and that can be an issue. And their existing process before coming over to Smartcat, it was like really complex and expensive. They had a lot of fragmented workflows, tight requirements and they weren't really meeting their deadlines because things were taking so long. They had so many outside vendors and agencies, and those costs just kept increasing year over year, and they couldn't keep up with that anymore. And depending on the agency they were working with, they were getting like really inconsistent results. So every piece of training that they were creating was looking, feeling, sounding different depending on who they were working with or what language it was coming back in. And this caused so much extra work for the regional teams because they would get their translated materials and then have to redo it. And these were things outside of their normal responsibilities. So Smartcat really helped them to automate that content creation and localization at the same time, while ensuring that they're meeting their regulatory compliance like rules and deadlines. And because of that, they really reduced that effort on those regional teams that I mentioned, right? And they're subject matter experts. They reduced that workload by 70%. And now they're able to produce like 15 to 20 localized courses per language every single quarter. So their business doesn't look at them as being like slow or behind anymore. They can keep up and deliver. So Smartcat is really, it's helping global teams just like this, just like many of you, to scale without increasing those budgets, and without slowing anything down, especially in some of these high stake industries.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a great story. And then lastly, we're going to take a look at Stanley Black & Decker. They are a global manufacturer, and they're always looking to move fast and, being able to keep up with those constant product innovations that they have. So every product update that they had meant that they had to retrain their sales, their support, and their technical teams in over 20 languages. But their previous process before having Smartcat was slow, it was super manual, and it was just full of bottlenecks. So with Smartcat, they were able to automate translation and localization, and they brought all of their product training content into one centralized workflow, which was huge for them. So it allowed them to keep the training aligned with each product launch. So there were no delays, there were no more rework that happened. And they cut their translation costs by 70% while keeping the high quality of their content that they're creating and also automating that project management for them. So that was really huge, remarkable results for them. And this is just a great example of how scalable training can really impact more than L&D. It really helps like keep those go-to-market efforts in sync across the entire region. And now we're going to take a closer look at what we mean when we say that Smartcat supports the entire learning content lifecycle. So today, this work is being done by you and your teams, and there's a lot of effort that happens behind the scenes that a lot of times people don't see. The content gets created and then it's translated, it's formatted, delivered, updated, repurposed. We all know that full life cycle. And it's often across like a dozen systems, so many different fragmented workflows. So with Smartcat, we integrate that whole workflow into one platform. So you don't need to juggle like multiple tools and really just start working smarter, not harder. So from creation and delivery and then optimization that happens after delivery, Smartcat's going to really help you scale without burning out because we know, again, you're working on a very lean team.
Yeah, definitely. Let's walk through that cycle and bring to life all the incredible work that these L&D teams do, or anyone who creates learning content. So first, of course, is creating, right? We're going to help you create that content in any language in minutes. No more of the create and then translate. We can help you build your entire course that matches your brand, your tone, the context, and even the outcomes that you're trying to reach. Today we help you create those courses, based off of very little information. You can just upload and say, hey, I want a course that's about this, and it will start to build it all out and all the different sections and quizzes and everything that you need. But imagine in the future, this is what we're building towards, right? Is that you come and say like, hey, this one regional sales team is really lacking on this certain sales skill. Build a course for that. And Smartcat will be able to do it. That's the future of where we're headed, even though it's already pretty impactful today for creating content. But if you already have content that just needs to be made ready for the world, like no problem. We know content creation happens in a lot of different ways, and we can help you translate that to make it ready for every market, whether that's PDFs, documents, images, even articulate rise or storyline courses. With Smartcat, using AI and our marketplace of expert linguists right in our platform, we can make that happen for you. We also help you manage the creation and translation processes for all your global learning content in one platform, and then you can export it to the LMS of your choice. So you can create and then deliver all super easy with the different integrations that we have with whatever system you're already on. And then we're also constantly making your content better and better as it learns from your feedback and changes over time. Our platform has memory, it has directories, it has lots of different ways to ensure that your content can evolve with you and optimize as well. And then this is one of the biggest pain points we hear about. Do you ever need to update like mid-project or after a launch, something changes, like one word, or this just happened to us. We had a product launch and then we changed our tagline. That's a pretty big thing that was everywhere. We can help you, add just a new module or a couple of elements. Smartcat keeps track of what's new, what's already translated and localized, what needs to be changed. So you only update what has to be changed, which saves you a ton of time while also protecting the quality of the content you're trying to create or update. And you already have a team of experts that know how to do this. But this life cycle, you live it every day, right? You go through these processes. And when you bring it into Smartcat, you get that added scale and execution from your new L&D digital teammates, right? This is your Smartcat's AI agents, which we just recently launched, and we'll dive into those a little bit more.
Okay, so everything that we've talked about today, from the speed of training, to scaling across multiple markets, that's exactly what our AI agents are built to support.
Yeah, you get automation where it makes sense, control where you need it, and quality you can count on across every single market. These agents are definitely speeding up the way you can grow your global markets or, make sure that you reach your learners across the world.
Yeah, and that's how that they're shortening the time to market to get training to market, and they're delivering the consistent high quality that they want. And it's all without adding any headcount to the team or adding any complexity within that workflow.
Yeah, absolutely. Most SaaS tools are really like overdue for a refresh. Software, a lot of software that you're seeing come out with AI, they're just kind of like slapping on AI to existing software that you already have. And we really wanted Smartcat to feel different, not like your typical software that you might interact with, but something that was a little more intuitive, a little more human, that felt like you were working with another teammate instead of just like a tool that you have to learn and configure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way we like to think about it is that it's your built-in teammate right within the platform. So you can just talk to it, like literally, and you could say things like create 10 courses in 7 languages, or localize these 15 SOPs in 12 languages, or one of my favorites, connect my product library.
Yeah, just like Clarence, right? That was such an incredible use case. And when you talk to our platform, it's going to respond. It's going to give you the answers that you need, so you don't have to spend so much time looking for things or knowing which agent or which workflow to pick up. It's going to guide you through that. It even helps with things like if you need help or if you get stuck or if you have a technical issue. It's working with you like a true teammate would. It's so much faster and a simpler way to work, less friction, so you can just kind of work in the flow.
Yes, absolutely. And uh, even more exciting, I think, is that we're introducing pre-built agents. And these are designed around the most common use cases. So for content creation, translation, and any localization tasks. So whether you're translating a PDF, if you're localizing a SCORM course, or if you're creating a new training from scratch, all of these agents are ready to do the work for you.
Yeah, these are such a great way to get started fast. They're, the kind of the out of the box agents where if you don't know where to start, like you can pick up one of these and get started with a workflow. I think one of them that isn't even on here, but it's in our L&D ebook, right, is our articulate agent where you can translate your articulate courses there. But you're with these, you get a ton of automation with less effort. They're going to know the different steps to take for, any type of content that might be a part of your learning or enablement or even operation strategy. And if you, I know a lot of people, once you talk about agents, they're like, yeah, but I want to see it. Like, what does that look like? And we totally hear you. Once we introduce these, you may want to see how easy it is to build one, or what they look like, or in the day in the life of an L&D leader, how would I use this? So join us, in the next month or so. We're going to be launching our Meet the Agents series. So you can get to know each one of these agents, see how it works, and how you can pick it up, in a moment, and get started with scaling your training and delivery. And of course, last but not least, no two teams work the same. So if one of those like out of the box agents isn't quite what you need, or it's not exactly the agent workflow that you want, that's why we have an agent builder. So that way you can come in and customize it to exactly what you want. You can make it match how your teams work today. You can define the workflow and the steps and choose what the agent is going to do automatically, or decide when a human is going to come in to review or approve. You can really start automating a lot of those steps that were taking up a lot of your time. If you had to like upload and then pass it off and then wait for it to translate and then click it over to somewhere else and then download it and upload it, all you can decide which pieces are now going to be automated, and where you want to be notified to come in.
Yeah, so it's really great. So if you need an agent that pulls a draft from a course in your LMS, it then can route it to legal, and then it creates the course in 5 languages. You can easily build that. If you have training materials that need review from your internal subject matter experts, you can build that too. So the agent builder is really going to give you that flexibility and control that you want. And then the automation is going to adapt to your process. So not the other way around. So now that you've seen some of the agents and you see that you can do, we're just going to bring this together with a quick recap.
Yeah, because we know L&D teams and everybody on this call, even our own sales enablement teams, they're being asked to do way more than ever. More training content, or keep the content up to date, refresh it. I need a enablement session every week, more languages, more personalization. But you're definitely not getting more budget or headcount to make it happen. Not getting the resources you deserve. And that's why we built Smartcat with our expert enabled AI agents, right? They're not going rogue. They're enabled by you, the experts, to be an extension of you and to make you faster. So you can create or translate or localize training content all at the same time, without having to do a lot of switching. No waiting, no handoffs, a lot less chaos. And I think we could all use that right now, right?
Yeah, less chaos, absolutely. So your team is going to get like a lot of speed. So getting faster launches to market and training to market, getting consistency, making sure that it's compliant, it's on brand in every language, and then also giving you the control. So having visibility across the entire training life cycle and doing all of this without needing to grow your team. So we looked at case studies today from Brinks and Smith and Nephew, Stanley Black and Decker. So you saw that how they're already scaling the global learning using Smartcat.
Yeah, and we want that to be you too. Everybody deserves this. So we'd love to show you what's possible. Let's start building together, get you hands-on with this, or be able to, or feel free to jump into, further resources we have, and the demo series we have with our agents coming up too.
Wanted to take some time and see if we wanted to answer some of these questions we have. I think the first is actually one that we got offline and I was answering this week for someone, but it's specific to agent builder, and a question of like, am I confined to one custom agent? What if I need multiple agents to do different things that aren't there? So what does having multiple build your own agents look like?
Yeah, for sure. There's also a world where you have different agents working together. Like we're actually preparing something now, or if you think about like needing to translate your website, that includes text, documents, images. You're going to need multiple agents to do work together and to coordinate together. So not only can you just build an agent that's a single workflow, you can build like a multi-agent system that can do, much bigger projects for you. So it doesn't matter if you're doing something, small, maybe tactical, or something that's much more strategic, something bigger, rolling out a new HRS system, changing your website, whatever it might be. You can definitely customize one agent or several agents to make that happen for you.
I love that. Thank you. Well, I'm going to ask you guys a few of these questions in the chat, but the first one in here is from Derek. And Derek asks, as I currently lead and also work with global clients, Smartcat's agility, automation, and use of AI agents to deliver consistent content and training is amazing. The value is clear. He would like to know how we're integrating with major LMS platforms, i.e., SuccessFactors, Cornerstone, any others.
Yeah, we definitely integrate with your LMS system, so that way the SmartCat and your LMS can talk to each other, and you don't have to worry about so much downloading from one, importing to another. You have that back and forth connection to make translating the content or localizing it or updating it seamless between the two systems. On our website, we have a whole integrations page. You can go and explore like all the different ones we have, so not just your LMS, but any other tools you might be using as well.
Thank you. And then next question from Dustin. This one is a little bit more technical and I think hands-on in what it looks like for the phrase we use, it will create it for you. Can we expand on that? What does that really look like? Dustin has used SmartCat as a translation platform and most recently used it for video dubbing and translation into new languages, which is a great use case. He would also like to know, will SmartCat produce training in the same quality as a few competitors?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the quality piece because quality is number one for us. We take a lot of we mentioned a lot of customers today that are in highly regulatory industries because we take a lot of pride in the fact that we can translate at such high quality in such complex industries. They trust us with their pharmaceutical terms and their medical device terms and their security terms to get that right. So that is something that we internally we have goals on that every single quarter to make sure that our quality is top notch and never leaving you hanging. So that's the first piece of it. And then, yeah, expanding upon will it create it for you? I really wish I could just kind of like demo on the fly right now because seeing it is the more powerful thing. Please come to our Meet the Agent series where we'll show you exactly how this works. But it is really as simple as like talking to it and saying, the flow is like, what do you want your course to be about? What are some of the goals that you have? Upload any documentation that might be helpful for this. It asks you a bunch of questions of what you want your learning course to be, and then it creates it for you. It'll be a different series and different questions. It can include videos. It can include quizzes, and then you can go through and kind of edit and tweak to get it just right. But it's going to automatically create a first version for you and then learn from that feedback that you're giving it. So that way, future courses that you create will go even faster from then on. But it really is as simple as that, and we'd love to show it to you in a future series.
Yeah, I think that workflow is great too, just because it's how you expect to interact with a lot of AI, or if you're using Claude or ChatGPT today, that's how you expect to interact with that. So it's a lot of what you just don't find within a lot of like authoring tools today.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then Mary was also wondering, I think this question also ties into nicely about like our timeline for when people can expect to see agents within SmartCat. How do current customers, how should they anticipate this potentially impacting their current licenses? What does it look like if someone wants to start trying this out? When can people really start seeing this?
Yeah, it's coming very, very soon. We're really excited. Yeah, so the new interface of talking to our platform and using AI agents to get your projects and workflows done is going to become the new way to work within our platform. but it's not going to be sudden. You're not going to be shocked, and you can definitely work with your your customer success rep to kind of choose, if and when you want that toggled on or off. But I believe the earliest we're going to be able to see this live within the platform for customers is going to be around September. If you want to see it earlier, we can definitely demo. There may be the opportunity for some customers to get it a little bit early. We'll let you know, but we'll keep you informed and communicate all along the way.
I love that. Are there any other questions? Or Nicole, Genevieve, I know you've been talking to a lot of customers this week. I know you're working on so many initiatives. Anything else that comes to mind before we move into additional resources that our audience can expect?
What do you think, Genevieve?
Oh, other than that, I think it's a super exciting time to be in L&D. I think especially with all of these tools that are just at your disposal today, and they're really, democratizing AI for a lot of folks. And I think that they really can have a big impact on the overall business because L&D is so crucial to the business, and just, having these tools just makes everything really glide.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. That's how you grow global markets faster. Um, so I am going to pop up our slides again and we'll pass it back over to Nicole and Genevieve to close this out.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Emily.
so really thank you everyone so much for joining us today. And we're hoping that you're walking away with a really clear picture of what's possible within Smartcat and seeing what's next for us and for our global training. So if anything resonated with you today, whether it's scaling faster, reducing translation delays, or delivering more with less, we'd really love to show you Smartcat and see how we can help you. So of course, you can book a personalized demo at smartcat.com and meet with one of our representatives. And they'll walk you through how the AI agents can really plug into your existing workflows and help you hit all of your goals fast.
Yeah, and I know not everybody may be ready for a demo, although it sounds like people really want to see it, so maybe you are. But just in case, we have some other great resources that you can continue learning with. We have a new ebook specifically for L&D teams and enablement teams that highlight a lot of the top trends we talked about today, but then also the different agents and the way you can plug that into a new model for global learning, kind of that content or that the center of excellence that we talked about, right? L&D teams being the way, right? The best practice way to do learning and enablement. We're also releasing an AI maturity scorecard for global content that can help you, work with your executives to show the impact and the improvement that you can make as a team, kind of on a journey, right? I don't, does anybody else have their executives asking them how they're going to be using AI and how they're plugging it in and what that's going to look like? Because I know mine are. This could be a really good resource to show your teams, like, here's where we are today and where we want to go, so you can get the resourcing that you need. And we're also here to help, right? You can reach out anytime. You're welcome to connect with Genevieve and I on LinkedIn. We're here to be your guide, help you move faster without burning out your team, right? We're here to make it easy. With that, thanks again for joining us. It was so great to have you here. We hope we see you again soon or at a future event series.